Hey everyone. So Warren Buffett just sold a large portion of his stock holdings in Delta and Southwest Airlines this past week. Before these sales, his company Berkshire Hathaway owned 11.1% of Delta and 10.4% of Southwest. After selling 13 million Delta shares for $314 million and 2.3 million Southwest shares for $74 million, he now owns under 10% of each company, with 9.2% of Delta and 9.9% of Southwest. Because Berkshire's holdings were previously above 10% for each company, regulatory requirements by the SEC mandate that they disclose any changes in their holdings of these stocks within 2 days. Now that Buffett's holdings in these airlines is below 10%, we will no longer know if Buffett decides to sell more shares until 45 days after the end of the current fiscal quarter. And since Buffett started selling these shares on Wednesday and Thursday, the first 2 days of the new quarter, we won't be able to see further sales he may decide to make until mid-August. Though, perhaps, we may get some clarity or insight during Berkshire Hathaway's annual meeting that is less than 1 month away. What's interesting is that Warren recently purchased nearly 1 million shares of Delta at $46 per share in late February and commented in mid-March that he won't be selling airline stocks. Keep in mind that these airline stocks have lost 50 to 80% of their value since then, and it is extremely unusual for Warren to flip shares so quickly, especially at a loss. His patience and extraordinary ability to value a company allows him to be confident in his purchases and hold on to his shares even if they crater in the short term, knowing that someday he will likely be right. It's hard to tell why Warren decided to sell these airline shares. It could be as simple as lowering his stake in each of these companies to below 10%. In general, he doesn't like to exceed 10% and actively sells shares purchased through dividend reinvestments to ensure that many of his stakes remain below 10%. It is also possible that Warren sees prolonged weakness in the airline industry and the possibility of these companies going bankrupt. Honestly though, I think Warren would probably end up getting phone calls from many of these major airlines first for loans. And because of Berkshire's large cash position, he would be able to keep these companies alive for a long time. And he would get extremely favorable loan terms with high interest rates that could possibly even make up for the short-term losses he's incurred in the stock prices. Considering what Warren Buffett is currently doing, should you pick up some airline shares at a discount? Let's take a deeper look and find out. First, I do think it is a good strategy to at least consider stocks with prices that have fallen substantially. Often, taking the contrarian view can make more money than simply following the crowd. Given that thought, let's take a look at a few of these companies. Let's start with none other than American Airlines. The stock is currently trading at $8.95, nearly 75% off its 52-week high of $35.24. Just imagine if you go and buy a nice house or car for 75% off. Sounds like a good value, right? Wrong. Well, at least in the case of American Airlines. Just look at the amount of debt on their balance sheet, over $24 billion. Now, if we just focus on their financial situation within the upcoming year, American Airlines currently has $8.21 billion in total current assets and $18.31 billion in total current liabilities. Now, under normal circumstances, they might be able to pay off their liabilities using newly generated revenue from flights. But with minimal expected revenue in the coming weeks and months, they have very limited income. They must live off the assets on their balance sheet and money from the government as they continue to burn through what is likely millions of dollars per day. Given that their current liabilities already exceed assets by $10 billion and they are currently losing money by the day, the picture looks very bleak for the company. So scratch that one off the list. Okay, let's try a higher quality airline, Delta. Delta is currently trading 69% off its 52-week high of $63.44, sitting at $19.92 per share. And honestly, its balance sheet doesn't look any better from a short-term perspective, with total current liabilities exceeding total current assets by $12 billion and long-term debt of $8.87 billion, not to mention a current cash burn of $50 million per day. I would stay away from this stock too. Okay, let's try one more. Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is known as the best of the airline stocks because it has the best balance sheet. The stock, ticker symbol LUV, is currently trading at $29.03 a share, nearly 51% off its recent 52-week high of near $59 per share. Like Delta, Southwest overall balance sheet looks better than in the short term. With total current liabilities exceeding assets by $3 billion and long-term debt of $1.85 billion, this stock is the best of the group because these numbers are much smaller. So, should you invest in airline stocks? Well, the short answer is no. The most basic rule of investing is the preservation of capital. As Warren Buffett puts it,
the first rule in investment is don't lose. And the second rule in investment is don't forget the first rule, and that's all the rules there are. I mean, if you buy things for far below what they're worth, and you buy a group of them, you basically don't lose money.
Why take on unneeded risk with your hard-earned dollars and throw it into companies burning large amounts of cash right now and for the foreseeable future? I think this short-term pain will damage these companies for a long time. So I recommend searching in other opportunities in the markets right now. And trust me, many opportunities are starting to appear. In the end, purchasing shares of the airlines right now is pure speculation, and I do not recommend making an investment in these companies right now. And full disclosure, I do not own any airline stocks and have no plans to purchase shares in any of these stocks anytime soon. I hope all of this information helps, but keep in mind all of this is just my opinion and not financial advice. Let me know what you think about what is currently happening with the airlines, as well as Warren Buffett selling his own airline shares, or your own opinions about purchasing airline shares in the comments below. I'd love to discuss further. In the meantime, please like this video if you found the content informative or learned something new. This not only helps the channel, but also lets me know if you found the content valuable. And if you want to see more content in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. Thank you all for watching, and I will hopefully see you in the next video.